Greetings, this is Griff Ruby with another Isaac Asimov short story, and that's a beautiful cover. Rocket. Uh, in the 50s, that's how people expected rockets to land on these other planets. Nowadays, I finally got it where rockets will literally land on their tail fins instead of some other way. So that's actually kind of cool. Oh, there's an Arthur C. Clarke story here. I like that beautiful planet there. Ring on it. Okay. But this is the May 1958 venture science fiction. But the story we're involved with here, it's no cover attention, and it's relatively minor. It's called By Jupiter, by Isaac Asimov, page 84. Nothing else. So, we get to 84. And this time we do have a blurb, no artwork, as usual. Venture is put up, by the way, by the same publishers as fantasy and science fiction. So, Venture is, it has that same kind of, non-glossy but matte sort of feel for the surface, just like the fantasy and science fiction. It was kind of its little brother. It was there for a while in the middle 50s, and then it didn't go too far, and finally it kind of ran out of gas. Theodore Sturgeon in it. Edward Hamilton. Cosmic Casanova. Okay. Theodore Sturgeon. Oh, wow. So this must have a lot of good stuff in it. But the one we're concerned with is By Jupiter, and the blurb says, the aliens were strong enough simply to take Jupiter, but for some reason they wanted it all legal, and the price they offered was fine. The thing was, why did they want the gassy old thing? So it's basically just this negotiation between some alien species who want to pay us for permission to own Jupiter, just the planet itself. We can keep its own satellites, all its moons. We're still obviously planning to explore. We still can, no problem. They're not interested in the inner planets themselves, beyond the bare fact that the intelligent species of this solar system is on one of those inner rocky planets. So that's who we talk to. May we buy this planet, or rent it, or whatever they wanted to do. And after some discussion, the Earth people basically said yes. The main fly in the ointment of all of this was that there was another planet, the Lamberige, who was another race of beings who might also be interested in something like this. So it's like, well, we don't want to get in the middle of a war. Well, it's not exactly a war, but they were kind of rivals, and we wanted a clear claim to Jupiter so that we can advertise our products on Jupiter. And it's kind of cool. It's like Build Jupiter becomes this great big billboard. Okay. But the Lamberge, was obviously another species out there who might also be interested in. Well, problem is we've already sold or rented Jupiter out to somebody else, and if the Lamberge ever came along. But it all ends with a kind of a nice touch. Not really a problem because, well, we can't do anything about Jupiter for you, but if you want, we will sell you, rent you, whatever it is, Saturn. Hey, that's fair. It's big and it's got rings, but it's pretty cool looking too. So, you could definitely do well. Hopefully the Lamberge won't be too angry about that and might just end up also paying us for Saturn. You never know. But that's where it ends. We finally agree to the thing. Miseret. That's the name of the first piece. Use Miseret Aragon vertices for health and glowing heat. Okay. And that's really the story. And that's all it is. The story, as you know, is gathered up into, easy to figure this one out, By Jupiter and Other Stories. And by the way, that is not the original title that he had for this. He had a different title he wanted to give it. So let's take a look at it. By Jupiter, 114. By Jupiter. Okay. So he talks about He wrote this story for Bob Mills, who is the editor of Venture, and it appeared in May 1958. I've basically given you the story or the gist of it. And then it says, By Jupiter was not my original title for the story. I am usually indignant when the editor changes the title I have given a story and change it back when it appears in one of my own collections and then mutter about it in the commentary. But not this time. I had called the story It Pays, an utterly undistinguished title. Bob Mills, without even consulting me, quietly changed to By Jupiter, and I fell in love with that as soon as the change came to my attention. To a punster like myself, it is the perfect title for the story, so perfect that I have given it to this entire collection, which, as you know, is By Jupiter and Other Stories. Bob Mills gets the credit. So, we talked about that, and that's pretty cool. So, yeah, somebody could buy Jupiter, and we're willing to sell it, I guess. I just hope no Jovians are on there, who could be very angry about being sold to somebody by us to yet a third party out there, while they're still trying to figure out how to build a force field so they can get themselves off of Jupiter and do something to us. Wait, that's another story. Well, thanks for listening. That's all there is I have on that.